Screensavers. I'm Kate Patillo. That was cute.
I'm Leo.
How was that?
I don't know. I'm just being dorky. Thanks for joining us, like every day. Coming up in today's show, everything you ever wanted to know about computer sound. We're gonna, we did the thing with video graphics cards. We're gonna do the same treatment, but we're gonna do it all in one day on computer sound cards.
Oh, good. Finally.
Finally. We should have done this a while ago.
Yeah.
Including a few recommendations for those of you who are considering a new one.
Oh, very good.
You know, you can get great stuff cheap. We'll show you.
Yeah, you don't have to buy the schmancy every single time.
Also, we're going to suggest a book or three that every geek library ought to have.
But you don't have to read it.
No, you don't have to actually read
That's
it. You
the
just
beauty
have
of
to,
it.
Just have it there. Makes you geek.
Proud to have it, never read it.
Right.
Then later, a solution for moving video around wirelessly in your home. Coming up on today's Fresh Gear.
Get a battery-powered television. around.
Before we talk about the topic in today's chat room, I want to check in with the results of our poll from yesterday.
Yes, let's.
Remember, hacker Kevin Mitnick was sentenced. We asked if justice had been served. 90% of you say yes. The sentence was appropriate. Justice was served. Wow, that's interesting. An overwhelming majority. And I thought we would be botted by wild hackers who believe that Mitnick should have been freed and so forth. So it just shows you the...
So they all took cleansing breaths and voted responsibly.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get a
Right.
horrible sentence. I mean, he's eligible for parole in a year. He's only got a $4,000 restitution. Not too bad.
No, but he's done now.
Now, of course, the big story today in the tech news was Red Hat, the big Linux company, going public. The first really big Linux IPO. There will be more to come. VA Research for sure and some others. But tripled. Went out of the box, tripled right out of the box. And now there's some interesting issues about this. Our question is, Red Hat doing the right thing? And let's talk about some of the issues. First of all, I think it's very interesting that internet stocks have been tanking. Not
Yes.
tripling out of the box as they used to. But so maybe Linux is the next big thing.
Well, I think Linux is pretty clearly the next
Yeah.
big thing. It's
Very
already
interesting.
here. But
Yeah.
then you have banking on Linux.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think people understand when they're buying Red Hat, they're not buying Linux.
No, they're not getting anything that Linus Torvalds owns.
Right.
Or...
And I think a lot of investors who don't really understand, I know the Screensavers viewers do because we talk about it all the time, that Linux itself was written by Linus Torvalds as the kernel of a large free operating system that really properly should be called GNU Linux, because most of the software is GNU.
By Stalling.
By Richard Stallman and his friends who were designing free Unix. It's not owned by anybody, can never be owned by anybody. There are many, many companies who distribute Linux, including companies who distribute Red Hat Linux. You know, value-added versions like Mandrake. My favorite distribution is Red Hat with value-added. And the license agreement dictates it that way. So when I think a lot of investors think, oh, finally we can buy Linux. They're not buying Linux. They're just buying a company, one of many that distributes Linux.
One brand packaging of an entirely open source operating system.
Now here's why we're asking the question. It's my opinion that Red Hat is capitalizing on that confusion. That Red Hat, well, sure, Red Hat is the best-known Linux distribution out right now, and it's a very good one, and Red Hat's done a very good job, and I'm not criticizing them for that. I think they said, hey, let's go public quick before anybody realizes that nobody owns Linux.
That we're not Linux.
Linux is free. We're just one of many companies that really, we make our money off Linux support, not so much Linux sales. Right? Because you can't sell Linux because you can download Red Hat's distribution for free from the internet. If I have a copy of it, get this. What kind of business does this work? If I have a copy of Red Hat, I can burn a CD, give it to you perfectly legally. Perfectly legally.
Okay, so what, Leo, if all of the Linux distributions go public, then is it okay?
I think Red Hat should go public. I think Red Hat's doing it for a number of reasons. They're getting money, of course, to continue development. I think it brings up the interesting question of whether Microsoft might buy a stake in them, and thereby, and frankly, what it could open them to is a takeover, a hostile takeover by Microsoft. What would Microsoft like to do with Linux?
Kill it.
So what do? Hostile takeover of Red Hat, the most public Linux company, and you kill it. Now, the beauty of Linux, and the reason I love Linux, is it won't kill it.
That's right. That'll never kill it.
Nothing can kill it, and nobody owns Linux. And that's the point. You're not buying, when you're buying stock in Red Hat, you are not, don't confuse the issues. You're not buying stock in Linux.
So there's the question.
Yes, what do you think? Is Red Hat doing the right thing? Are they going public and being greedy? Or is it against the Linux creed? You tell us at thescreensavers.com. While you're there, click on our talkback feature to express your opinion to the rest of the Screensavers community.
Or you can just call us on the phone, 888-989-7879.
Chat with us. I'm in the chat room. You are too?
Yep, getting there.
Chat.zdnet.com. I'm in the main room.
That's right.
Screensavers room.
But you know what?
What?
That's where you go if you want to chat. But if
Yeah.
you have a netcam, you want to be on television, click on the netcam Cineplex and visit, I believe, Dan and Patil, who are hard at work today.
Looking at the Red Hat IPO.
Looking at the Red Hat IPO. Hey, Dan.
Spent all his money.
Yeah, if you bought in at the $14 price IPO listing, you'd be stoked.
Tripled.
I don't think, Dan and Patil, I don't think we're allowed to buy tech stocks anyway, guys. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
They
well.
can. I think they can.
Can they? Anyway, of course, you know, if you call us up, you earn yourself a fabulous Screensavers magnet to be on your fridge, just like the one on ours. Brian.
There's a good picture.
Brian with him. He's got a monkey on his back, man. All right.
John joins us on the ZDTV3Com Netcam Network from Omaha, Nebraska. Hey, how you doing, John?
Hi, John.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're
Good.
great. Actually, he's on the phone. Oh, no, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Now we see you.
You ready for your magnet, John? Okay.
Sure.
Catch, man. Here we go.
All right.
Okay, 1, 2.
Ah, nice shot.
Thank you.
Oh, good catch. I think he got it. Who's on
right.
the sofa behind you?
It's my mother-in-law and my wife and my daughters.
It's a
Danielle's my
family
wife.
affair. Calling the Screensavers is a big family thing to do, I
Yes,
notice.
apparently.
Yeah. What can we do for you, John?
Yeah, I had a question. What's the difference between CDRs, CDRWs, and then just plain CDs, like if you were to buy one?
You know?
Well, let me tell you the difference of a user, and then
Okay.
we can talk about the physical difference. Obviously, a CD that you buy, you can't record onto.
Right.
It's just a static piece of plastic that is what it is. A CDR, you can record onto once. Once it's full, that's it. It's a static piece of plastic you can't do anything with.
Just like your CD-ROM.
Most CDRs will run on most CD players, although older CD players may have a trouble with CDRs. Okay. There's a newer kind of CDR. It's a CDRW. They all look pretty much the same. RW, you can record, erase about 1,000 times.
Yep.
So it's like regular hard drive medium. Now, do you want to know, like, what's
that
the
works?
physical difference?
Yeah, kind of. You know, I was just wondering why. I just bought a CD burner, and it came with one CDRW, and I have
Right.
a whole bunch of CDRs, and I was wondering what, the difference in them.
Oh, very good.
Let's ask Martin, because
Let's.
Martin did it. I wasn't here when Martin did this. Martin Sargent is here in the chat booth. Hey, Martin.
Hey.
Hey, guys.
Marty. He's
How you
coming up
doing?
in a little bit to talk about sound cards, but okay, what's the difference between a CDR and a CDRW?
Well, the difference really is in the recording layer on which the laser focuses. With a CDR, there's several different layers. There's a layer of gold for reflective purposes. There's a dye layer. It's the dye layer that the laser actually focuses in on, and then it will bleach the dye later. That's how you get your pits in your lands that the laser, when it's reading, will actually reflect off of, so you can read the data.
So all
Ones and zeros,
CDs have ups and downs that represent the on and off, the ones and zeros.
That's right.
Okay.
So it's changing the dye by bleaching it to give it ones and
Bleaching
zeros.
it or bubbling it up, there's several different ways
Okay.
in which it's done. With the CDRW,
That's
it's
a
little
one-way
bit-
process, by the way. You can't
Yeah,
go
you
backwards.
can't go back and change
Okay.
that. CDRW, you can go back and change it because there's a layer of sort of metal on there, silver, indium, telluride, a couple different alloys. What happens is it uses the same type of laser. It's a 780 nanometer laser that goes in there, burns it actually to about between 900 and 1300 degrees Fahrenheit,
Wow.
burning those pits in there. And then when the reading laser comes along, it reflects off the non-burned areas cleanly at the diode, so it reflects as a 0. When it hits the burned areas, it scatters. That's what is registered as a 1.
On the RW, though, you can go backwards.
Yeah, that's called the annealing phase. What happens is the laser goes back over what you've already burned and uses a weaker laser, about 400 degrees. That just flattens it all back out again, so it's smooth, and then you can go ahead and reburn it again.
And that's a
Technology's
little
amazing, isn't it?
problematic, though, isn't it? It doesn't always smoothly burn everything away. You still have
No,
a
there are
couple-
problems with it, even more so with something like DVD RAM, where there's an even smaller laser, 635 to 650 nanometers, and also a tighter spiral recording groove. So there you have even more pits and lands being burned in there. It's a much more complex recording process, even because it's dual layered too, and also double-sided.
All right.
But yeah, I have a CDRW, and I don't have a whole lot of problems with the reliability. It seems to be,
that's good.
although they probably, as a result, build in a lot of redundancy to avoid the problems. If, say, you lose a bit there, they can have a duplicate somewhere else. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Probably
All right.
in much greater detail than you than you really wanted, but I'm glad you called and asked.
All right, thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, John. Take care, family.
Thanks, John.
You
Bye,
too.
John's family.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the
Bye-bye.
world of phase change recording. Enjoy. Happy to spread a
Yeah,
little
I
joy.
love doing this on national TV. It just cracks me up.
I love that.
What-
Thanks, Martin, man.
Good job, Martin. I had no idea what he said, but it's very interesting.
Pits and lands, man.
Pits
Pits
and
and
lands.
lands. After the break, we're going to take a peek into the fridge to find out what is worthy to be inducted into the famous geek library. Oh, yes, when the Screensavers continue.
Don't go in there. Don't. Hey. Time once again for Kate and Leo's Geek Library, wherein we recommend for your geek reading pleasure one of our all-time favorite books, or bookmarks, or movies, or what else have we done? Games,
Software,
everything. Today, it's a book that I have to say I've owned for years. It's actually 3 books, but I've never read. It's not strictly. I haven't read cover to cover. I've dipped into it. I haven't even skimmed it because, frankly, it's way over my head. But it is considered the Bible of computer programming. It's called The Art of Computer Programming, written by a guy named Donald Knuth. There it is, a 3-volume set. And actually, the one I have is 2 volumes. I don't have the latest volume. It's published by Addison Wesley. They just updated it a couple of years ago. Knuth, by the way, is working on volume 4, which will be 3 volumes. So, and then there's a volume 5 also in progress. Knuth is an amazing fellow, a Stanford professor emeritus of computer science. He wrote this several decades ago and has been updating it. And it is basically the fundamental things programmers have to know. Searching, sorting, numerical algorithms, how to make a random number. Now, you wouldn't think that that would be difficult. It is impossible to make a true random number on a computer. And the art of how to do it well so it's a good pseudo-random number is great. These books are so famous, so well known that almost every programmer at least knows of them. Many have it on their shelves, but very, very few have read it all the way. In fact, Bill Gates once said, if you can read this whole thing cover to cover, send me a resume. I want to hire you.
All right.
In fact, people who live in the Silicon Valley area know that Knuth, from time to time, will give impromptu free lectures at Stanford in the Bill Gates Hall of Computer Science.
Let's go.
He'll show up. Well, I think he's at MIT. He's on the East Coast this fall. But maybe next spring he'll be back doing it again. Talks about some fascinating things. This is a book you probably don't want to buy. They're very expensive. There is a new 3-volume slipcovered thing. But just go to the library and look at it. I found mine in a secondhand store, and I was so thrilled to get it. It really is, I guess, the closest thing you could say to a Bible of computer programming algorithms. Those are the rules for solving computer problems. The first book, it covers the mathematics, the kind of mathematical foundation of computer science. It also covers information structures like lists and things like that. Book 2, random numbers, arithmetic algorithms. Book 3, all about searching and sorting. Yes, a whole book, thousands and thousands of words just on searching for things and sorting things. It is beautifully written. He has a great sense of humor. It's all done in a fake programming language he calls Mix. By the way, he's an amazing guy. He's also very famous for his, I think, 5-volume set on computer typesetting. He wrote Tech, which is considered by most to be the definitive formatting and typesetting program for computers. It is a must-have. It's at least a must-look. Donald Knuth's The Art of Computer Programming. If you've never seen it before, take a look at it. Don't expect to understand it all. Very mathematical. Lots of fun to just kind of browse through. And you know what? I've copied algorithms out of it. You know, if you're looking for a searching algorithm, you go through and you go, oh yeah, that's how you do it.
All right. Maybe I'll sleep with it under my pillow.
Yeah, it soaks in.
Soak in by osmosis.
To fill out your Geek Library, check our website for a complete listing of all of our picks at thescreensavers.com.
All right. Thanks, man.
Oh, this is a fun book.
Cool.
Fun book. I've had, it's actually, I would have it in my hands, but it's up in my attic in some boxes and I couldn't find it, but I will drag it out.
It's dog-eared because you've been reading it for days and
it's barely cracked, but it's so great to have.
I tried, man.
And it's fun to look at it.
All right.
I'll admit it. No, I don't know any programmer who's read it all the way through. It's tough stuff. Unless some computer science professor went, you must read this.
Ouch.
Ow.
That'd be a tough text. All right, Michael is joining us. Speaking of painful?
Yes.
On the phone from Oceanside, New York. How you doing, Michael?
Hi.
Hi.
Good.
What's up?
Good.
What's up?
I got a computer problem.
Yeah,
Actually,
you
it's
and
a
everybody
question,
else.
Not a problem.
All right.
Okay.
I want to know of a website with information on building robots.
Oh, that's fun.
We've got a
Now, why do you want to build robots? What do you want to do?
Not really. I just want to play around with them and.
Now, of course, you know about Lego Mindstorms.
Yeah.
Now, they're not great robots. It's kind of a primitive. You have an engine that is a programmable engine, which actually can interface to your computer with it. And it has a kind of a neat drag-and-drop programming language. But it's Lego, and it can't do a whole lot. There's some pretty neat Mindstorm stuff out there. We have a Lego Mindstorm robot somewhere. We'll find that. We'll dig it out.
Yeah.
It's probably in my... Is it under there by the Penguin?
But, we used to sit around and we'd get a catalog full of robot parts.
You?
Because we're from California, yeah. So a friend of ours, my friend Tom Pope, remember Tom Pope?
Yeah.
He used to get this catalog.
Oh, from the robot store.
From the robot store.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's just called robotstore.com. And if you look, it's a huge, just tons of stuff full of little robot pieces. Wires, kits, things with legs, things without legs, kits to build huge robots, kits to build small ones, everything you want to build a robot all in one place.
Very cool stuff. What would you do? What kind of robot would you build?
I haven't really thought about it that much.
Yeah? Here it is, by the way. This is
Missing an eye. We turned him into a battle bot.
Well, see, he's Lego, so you can take off this stuff. It's non-functional. What's the key? The key to all of these Mindstorms is in here. This is the unit underneath these Legos here. And this actually interfaces via serial connection to your computer, and it has a programming language. You can see right there it's got a
nice,
program and
really
run. I think the battery's in bed.
interface
Let's
to
see.
run
Let me turn it on. Oh, no, it's still alive. So there it is. You can see kind of, and I can run the program that we've already got inside it. So this is kind of neat. It's a good way to get introduced to programming, computer programming, because you actually have to write a program for it to work, but also to kind of primitive robotics. It's not about engineering so much. A lot of robotics is about engineering, right? It's getting the arms to
move,
work and
you
stuff
don't have
like
to
that.
do that. This does the rest of the hard stuff on that level for you.
What would you like to do with it?
Just
learn?
take it out.
Yeah.
Take it out and play with it.
All right, cool.
All right, you checking out BattleBots?
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. August 14th and 15th. We're webcasting it on ZDTV.com, but you can also go to Long Beach and see it in person. Those robots actually fight it out. That's a destructive use of robots.
Oh, but isn't that fun?
But I think it's more fun.
We're giving away tickets in the chat room, by the way.
Oh, are we doing that
That's
today?
right, we're doing that again.
Oh,
I
great.
think it's in the bookshelf. There's trivia. You answer it. Some
All week
such
long.
thing. All week long. Of course.
Hey, have fun with your robot, okay?
Can I say one quick thing?
Sure.
Can you guys send me an autographed picture?
Sure we can.
Yes, we can.
Hang on the line and we'll get your address and we'll send it to you, all right?
Okay.
We'll be glad to
Okay.
do that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, Michael.
Isn't that cool?
Michael's got a ways to go.
Who built that? Did Louderback build that or Patrick?
Louderback built that for
Louderback?
us.
All right.
Although maybe Patrick did and Louderback just said he did. I don't know.
Nah, I don't know.
All right, up next, get ready to learn something useful as opposed to... Okay, Martin Sargent is here to show us how sound cards work when the Screensavers continues. Huh? What'd you say? The Screensavers Online is the best source for information on our show, so we say click on Show and Tell for the best features of Office 2000, as well as other little handy bits of advice for making computers easier to use. Always available at thescreensavers.com even. .com.
All right. Now that we've covered video cards, we did that. We spent a whole week on video cards. Sound cards don't take much time, but we thought it would be appropriate to give you the same treatment of sound cards as well. So let's start with the basics on sound cards. Martin Sargent's back. He's our ZDTV technical advisor and our man about town, and he has drawn a beautiful picture.
Oh, look at this. We
of
always
a
get such
sound
nice
card.
chalkboards from Martin.
So tell us what
all this means.
What does it mean, Martin?
Well, a sound card, of course, has two basic functions: to record sound and to play back sound. Now, to record sound, what you need typically is an analog input device, such as like this microphone right here.
All right.
Okay.
So if I were to sing into this microphone, it would reverberate off this sensor in here, which is sort of like an eardrum. That's going to be converted into an analog electrical wave, which will flow down the microphone coil and into the card itself. Okay, now this is analog waves. This is not digital yet. In order to convert it to digital, it has to go to the ADC, or the analog to digital converter. Okay. Now, when it gets to this point, what this thing does is take samples of that analog waves. It takes lots of samples. It splices that wave up into many, many pieces. If we're recording in CD quality, which is typically what people want to do, the sample rate is 44.1 kilohertz, okay?
So what it does is it slices this wave up into the 44,000 slices per second, and then it measures the amplitude at each point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so 44,100 times per second. It takes a measure of that.
Now, what's the 8-bit versus 16-bit?
Right. There's also something called the bit depth, which is another measure of the sound quality. That's how many bits per sample, per snapshot of that wave.
So in effect, it's the resolution of the wave.
That's right.
16 bits, you have 65,000 possibilities. That's a finer resolution, higher quality sound than 8-bit, which only has 256
Precisely.
possibilities.
16-bit is CD quality sound.
All right.
Okay.
Although nowadays, by the way, they oversample often to 24-bit and then downsample when they mix.
That's right. And the better cards can also do it at 48 kilohertz. But, you know, that's way
overkill.
too much.
You don't
It's
have ears
overkill.
like that.
Actually,
Yeah.
to record the human voice, telephones do it at about 8 kilohertz.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, so from the ADC, what we've done now is change these analog waves into a stream of ones and zeros, digital information. From there, it goes on to the DSP, or the digital signal processor. Okay, the DSP is going to get directions from this ROM chip up here. Now, it's a flash ROM chip, so say we get driver updates for this card, then we can get new instructions in that chip. Typically, what it's going to do is compress this stream of ones and zeros, so that when it makes its way down here to our CPU and then onto the hard disk, it's not going to hog a lot of space. It's going to be nice and compressed, okay? And on the hard disk, my voice is going to be saved as a .wav file, typically. Now, to actually hear it playing out of the computer, it goes back the other way. It is retrieved from the hard disk through the CPU back to the DSP, which is going to uncompress it, and it's going to go to the DAC, which is the opposite of the ADC. It's the digital to analog converter. What it's going to do is change that stream of ones and zeros back into analog waveform. It's going to make its way to a speaker system or perhaps some headphones, and it's actually going to make sound waves that can bounce off of our eardrums so we actually hear something.
So this is how waves and other digitally recorded audio gets played back. But then there's also MIDI, which is not the same as waves.
Musical instrument digital interface. This is a way that you can make your computer sort of into a musical instrument. Now, back in the day, all of them use something called FM synthesis to make this work.
Which is basically Pac-Man sound.
Right. It's very bad, very chirpy sound. What FM synthesis does is there's an FM chip. Say this is an old school card. It's going to make two waves, right? The first one is called the carrier. That's a precise sound wave, okay? The second wave, and there can be more than two waves, is a modulator. That's going to interact with the pure sine wave. There's also algorithms, mathematical algorithms in there. This all works out so that it can approximate the sound of orchestral instruments.
This is how the Moog synthesizer worked. FM stands for frequency modulation, and that's exactly what's happening. It's modulating the frequency.
So it doesn't sound that good. It sounds very tinny. It sounds very electronic.
It's electronic, because it is.
Yes.
It never has no relationship to the real world. None of the beautiful overtones of a real instrument.
But the way it's done now, that does have overtones in the real world. It's called wavetable synthesis. The way that works, there's actual digital recordings of orchestral instruments that are stored either...
Is this a flugelhorn or a French horn?
That's a flugelhorn. That's what Chuck Mangione used
That's
to
a
play.
Chuck Mangione horn,
Yeah.
a little hat. Okay, and it gets... So these are real instruments that have been recorded and then digitized.
Right, and in the case of like an ISA card, typically those recordings are stored actually on the board. But with the new PCI cards, those recordings are stored in main system RAM.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's what we call the samples.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they're not like, they don't have every note for all of the instruments, because that would take up way too much memory.
Right.
So they just approximate. There might be an A and a C and a D and a G note.
And they interpolate the rest.
They interpolate it so they can make those in-between sounds. And then that comes back out in digital form, just like I described before, and it can be played through the speakers.
So that's why you want, and you pretty much have to nowadays, get a wavetable card for the MIDI. It only improves the MIDI. You want a card with a built-in DSP. There are cards that are cheap that let the CPU do this processing. And of course, that really slows down the CPU.
That's right. That's really the main function of the DSP, is to offload activity from the main processor, so it can concentrate, if you're playing a game, on rendering the graphics and doing more important things.
So you'll see when you look at, say, the Sound Blaster Live, it has an EMU chip, or there is a Roland chip, or a Yamaha chip. Those are the ones that are doing the
And they're
work
very
in there.
powerful in the case of the Sound Blaster Live.
Yeah.
It's like a, what, P166?
It's very, very fast.
powerful.
Yeah, it's, I think, 1 million transistors is very incredibly speedy at this particular kind of function. Very good. I mean, that's great.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, nice job.
It's so weird that a sound can be made into a chart or a graph, and then the graph numbers are reinterpreted into ones and zeros and goes back out.
It's mind-boggling.
Well, you know what? It's because of the human brain. The human brain fills in the gaps. Of course, this square waveform that results from that kind of sampling is nothing like the smooth waveform of a sine, but the human brain is amazing. It can fill in the gaps and smooths it out, and to the ear, it sounds like real music. When in fact, it's...
That's right. That's why it's still possible to record at 8 kilohertz instead of 48. It's still going to sound
You take some of the data out, smaller files, doesn't sound as good, but the ears still can resolve it. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you, Martin.
My
really
pleasure.
Good. For the nitty-gritty on how sound cards work, we want you to check out the website. Martin's done a great article for us.
Oh, yes.
On the screensavers.com. Turn up the funk, but turn down the noise. Still to come on this very show. We'll give you all the tools you need to choose a sound card for your computer. We're actually talking about real sound cards in a second. We'll try to solve more of your nasty computer problems. And you'll learn about a new way to move your moose around the house via video, wirelessly. All that and more. I don't know what that means.
What?
As the Screensavers rolls on.
What's that, Jason?
Here's your chance to win tickets. Get your tickets here. Tickets to the BattleBots. The coolest trend in sports entertainment, live robotic combat. We'll be giving away 5 sets of 4 tickets each night this week in the Screensavers chat in the bookshelf room in case you can't make it to Long Beach, California. You can opt for a ZDTV summer gift package instead. The official rules are available at thescreensavers.com. No truth to the rumor that Virgil's actually inside those robots.
What? What?
Nothing. I think they never mind.
You can also experience BattleBots live from the comfort of your own couch. You don't need to go out and experience a sporting event. Just sit on the couch, man. Join us for the exclusive live webcast, August 14th and 15th, ZDTV.com.
Kind of a stretch to call BattleBots a sport.
Sure. Well, it's a sporting event. Look, what about bumper cars? It's like cars. Okay, that's
bumper cars. There's a sporting event.
Demolition Derby.
Okay. Oh, Demolition Derby.
You know.
That's not a sporting event either.
Oh,
anyway.
You ask people who do Demolition Derby if that's
really? They think it's a sport?
Oh, yeah.
That's our chat question of the day. No, it's not. I'm Leo Laporte, by the way. Welcome back to the Screensavers.
Yeah. I'm Kate Patello. Pardon us while we work out our little...
Our question today is not, is Demolition Derby a sport? Although that might be tomorrow. Is Red Hat doing the right thing? Red Hat went public.
Yep.
Tripled their value overnight, less than overnight, over day.
Why is that? Everybody thought they were buying Linux.
Yeah, it says Linux on the box.
In Linux.
But they're not. They're buying stock in a company that provides a Linux, one of many Linux distributions.
Right, but there is no one owner of Linux. No one owns Linux. That's the whole point.
So we think Red Hat basically is misrepresenting it. And,
yeah, we do.
And frankly, I think it's antithetical to the notion of Linux. Look, I love Red Hat. They deserve the money. They need the money to do the development. I think that's a good thing. But I think it's antithetical to the notion of Linux that one company kind of owns the brand. The brand, it belongs to everybody. It belongs to us. And that's the whole point.
It's just because they're the first ones. As soon as all the other distribution companies get together and do it, that'll make a significant difference.
What do you think? It's like, yeah, I guess the first company that offered internet stock,
right?
I would have said the same thing. Hey, the internet doesn't belong to anybody,
right?
But now there's no question.
It's the same kind of deal.
All right, you're right.
That's what I think. Okay.
Well, she's convinced me. What about you? Take our web poll at thescreensavers.com. She's very convincing. While you're there, click on our talkback feature to express your opinion to the rest of the community.
Yes, or you can, speaking of community, chat with us, chat.zdnet.com. I know you're in there.
I was in there until we started fighting over Demolition Derby.
Pinky Tuscadero, man. She had to wear... Okay.
If you're on Netcam and you want to ask your question on the air, the place to go in the chat room is the Netcam Cineplex. And Dan or Patil will take your question, your call, and give you a chance to win one of these magnets.
Like that.
It's a magnet.
Like Chad.
Chad's on the ZDTV3Com Netcam Network from Johnson City, Tennessee. Hey, Chad.
Hi, Chad.
Greetings, programs.
Oh.
Ooh, nice catch.
So, Chad, what's the question?
Well, I needed to know if it was possible to convert MPEGs or AVI files so that it can be recorded on a CDRW or a DVD drive and be played back on a DVD player, just a standard television player.
No. What kind of? Sort of.
Okay.
First, you have to author DVDs. If you're going to make a DVD to play back on a standard the DVD recordables right now require a DVD recordable to play it back.
Ah, so they don't play back on a CD.
Right.
There's the big difference.
So what you're going to do is author a DVD. And you're going to author a DVD that can be played back on a standard commercial DVD player. Roger, how much is a DVD authoring system? We had Roger because we knew you were going to ask this because we were prepared through the break. Roger's looking for DVD authoring systems. Have you found one for us, Roger?
There's actually several, and it depends on what you want. You can get an entire suite for around 120,000, computer, hard drives, everything, or you can buy just software. But most importantly, you'll need the DVD encoder, the MPEG-2
yeah,
encoder.
and the burners too, right? Because you got to burn this thing.
So a DVD encoder card is going to run you around 10, 11 grand.
So it's 10 or 11 grand at minimum, 120,000 at tops.
So
does that sound right, Chad?
Oh, a little expensive for me.
So, all right, I got a new idea for you.
Yeah.
Instead of this DVD thing, why don't you make a video CD?
There you go.
Now, it can't hold as much.
It'll hold 650 meg.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you start with. You could start with a standard video input. You could start with an AVI and MPEG. That doesn't matter. Whatever you take, you're going to have to encode it specially and use special authoring software to make a video CD. But your CD burner, if you have a CD recorder, can make a video CD that's white. It's called Whitebook. That's the Whitebook specification. So, and there's authoring software out there at a much more reasonable cost. And what you do is you'd put it in there, and you'd have a video CD player program, which your friends would have to download. And they'd have to do this on the computer, by the way. They couldn't do it on a consumer DVD deck. Okay. And so they put in a CD-ROM, and they play it back, and they'd see it. They could see it full screen. There it is. They see it full screen, but you know, it'd be VHS or less quality.
DVD is new enough, Chad, where I think they have to make it very expensive for you to crank out.
Well,
you know,
history tells us.
for now.
Yeah, when the first CDs came out, you wouldn't author Look, if people didn't author CDs for years, you would go to a service bureau and you'd have them authored for you, and they have special equipment, very expensive. It's the same state. We're at the early days of DVD. You know, 10 years from now, probably not 10, 5 years from now, you'll be able to buy DVD recorders just as you buy CD recorders that can play back in any DVD. And
I bet, too.
Yeah. It probably won't be very long, but for right now, we're in the same situation we were in the early days of CD-ROM, where it's not a do-it-yourself project.
Not yet.
Yeah, a couple more years, I guess.
At least, yeah. And, you know, there are competing standards for DVD recordables right now. The one that's out right now, DVD-RAM, can only be read on other DVD-RAM players, not even on a standard computer DVD deck. So you're really limited right now. I'm going to wait and see what happens with DVD recordables. In fact, I haven't even bought a DVD yet. I'm going to wait. This has to settle out before I'm going to buy one.
So, me too. We're waiting. Looks like it's going to be good, Chad, but in time, we'll get that 5.2 gig, okay?
Let's hope so.
For now, 650 meg. Can you do me a favor, sir?
Sure.
Take us to break, will you?
All right, thanks, Kate Leo.
Hey.
How can I spy on my family and get that satellite dish feed into my room, all without wires? Well, we'll find out when the screensavers continue.
All right, nice job. Take off your hat. What you got? Hey! Yay! The Screensavers Online is the best source for information on our show. Take this week's brand new Super Geek Challenge, babies, about DSL. Find out how much you know about the consumer high-speed internet access technology du jour. Always available toujours du jour. TheScreensavers.com.
That's a mouthful.
And it.
Yeah. Congratulations to Dave from Suwannee, Georgia. I think we've talked to him, haven't we?
Georgia?
Yeah.
All right.
He is a winner in yesterday's Super Geek Quiz giveaway. Once you take the Super Geek Quiz, at the end you'll have a chance to fill out a form to get in the drawing for a lovely hat. I like it. I like when you wear it that way.
You like it backwards?
That's very good.
I like this
Or
hat.
a T-shirt, too, all right? And by the way, keep taking the quiz. Even if you've taken it once, take it every day. There's a new chance to win every single day.
That's right. And besides, then you can absorb some of that knowledge, you know. As promised, here's Jim Louderback with a solution for moving video around the home wirelessly.
I can't wait to see the moose.
On today's Fresh Moose.
This is the XCam with the X10 video sender from a company called X10. And what it is a small video camera coupled up with a wireless video sending technology. It actually uses 2.4 gigahertz technology to send video and audio up to 150 feet. Now here's how it works. This is the unit right here, and this is the tiny little camera. You see we've got it focused on James over working in the lab. See, he's right up over there. We can tell whether he's goofing off or not. James, you goofing off? Nah, you don't look like... You're working. You're working. We can use this to monitor all kinds of things. I'm actually going to take this home and monitor the baby, which I think is going to be a really good use for it. Take a look at the unit itself. It's very small. It's got this little directional antenna. Now, the other unit looks exactly like this, and it feeds into a TV. You've got to line the antennas up just right. See, they swivel around like this? If you don't, the image is going to flicker. The camera itself is so small. See how small that camera is? I'm going to pull it off because you can use this for more than just sending images from this tiny camera. You can use it to send really images from any video source, whether it be a DBS setup, digital satellite, or a DVD. Now, I've got a DVD right here, and I've got it plugged into this TV. Just going to unplug it real quick, and watch how that image, once I plug this in here, is going to show up on that thing behind me. Now notice as I move it, it's going to flicker a little bit, but it looks pretty good, and you can send the audio as well. This is a pretty good way to move video around. You can use the video camera to monitor people or spy on people, or you can use it to extend your satellite dish, kind of like the dish player thing that we looked at earlier. You can send that all around your house up to 150 feet. We like this technology, we like the implementation, and we like the price. 150 bucks gets you the camera and the device to send things around. Overall, we give it 3 out of 5 stars. It's very useful, it's great for a bunch of different things, and it is available now.
You can catch a new Fresh Gear, but not you. Every Friday afternoon at 1:30, 12:30 Central, right here on ZDTV.
Got an email from JB. He asks us, now that you have covered video cards, please help us decide which sound card to buy. I want to spend $110 or less. I wonder where we came up with that number. Well, we will. We'll talk about specific sound cards and which ones we think you should buy when the Screensavers continue. I got this email from JB. Has to come in as some birthday money. Now that you've covered video cards, help me decide which sound card to buy. I want to spend $110 or less.
Or $110. Well, I knocked over this.
The 7-Eleven.
Little 7-Eleven. There was $110.
This is good. Well, we just, one of the reasons we had Martin in earlier to discuss how sound cards work is so that we could, start with a foundation of what things to look for in a sound card.
Yes.
So we already mentioned wavetable synthesis.
Well, of course, because that's the first thing you want is decent sound off of that. Why don't we get some cards and start talking about
the other thing I would say is very important to consider anyway is if you're a gamer 3D sound. You want, of course, to have a clean sound. Now, what is this?
You have to have a low signal-to-noise ratio.
This is a Sound Blaster Live. This is actually
the
card I just bought.
The daughter board.
Right, and this is the fancy. It's so funny because this is the expensive Live, and the biggest difference is these are gold.
You're kidding.
on the value, which I bought, they're plastic and colored.
Doesn't it also come with the spitif board?
Yeah, and when you buy I think the list price is $200, I think you get it around for $150. It comes with this additional daughter board. By the way, this doesn't plug into a slot. It just uses up one of the openings at the back of your computer. And this has, the Sony Philips digital interface, or SPDIF.
Now that lets you go digital to digital, so you don't miss the step of converting from analog to digital when you're recording music.
And that degrades the sound. So if recording is what you want to do and you're recording from a digital source, very important. It's not going to help you if you're recording from a microphone.
No.
It's going to help you if you're recording from a DAT or a digital tape of digital videotape.
Our friend Joe has one of these. He's got an external CDR. So all he has to do is take the music that he just recorded on his computer, take the cable, plug it into the CDR, into the SPDIF card, and he gets a clean, direct digital to digital
Now, actually,
sound.
that's not necessary if you're recording audio from a CD, because a CD player, most of them support digital audio extraction. And in fact, the digital data doesn't go through the DAC, the digital analog conversion.
Old, separate.
Yeah, so don't buy this, folks, so that you can take stuff off of CDs. It would be for DAT or digital video. Most of the time, I'd say, save your money. Get this, the Sound Blaster Live is about $45 if you shop around. This is what I bought for my new machine. It has, as you can see, a SPDIF connector here that you can always buy the SPDIF after the fact. By the way, some other connectors here. There's traditional CD in, but it also has aux in. It has a telephone system in, and it has a, what's the other one? I can't remember. It has for some other form of digital input. But what's nice is that all of these connectors make it possible to add other sound devices and plug them in directly to the card. This has another nice advantage. It supports EAX, which is Creative Labs' proprietary 3D sound rendering. It also uses an EMU chip that has it's a very powerful DSP. There's the DSP in there, and it's capable of doing quite a bit with sound. So I think really this is kind of a good mid-range card for everybody, but probably not for the professional musician. They're going to want to spend more, like $500. So given your price range, let's see some other cards here.
Well, we don't have the really cheap one. This is the Oriole card. This is the Diamond card.
Now this is for gamers. This is the MX300 from Diamond, the Monster Sound. What this is really designed for is somebody who wants Oriole 3D surround sound, which is definitely the best surround sound, supported by more games than anybody else. Creative says they're writing an A3D software driver for the Sound Blaster Live, but doing it in hardware really is going to make a big difference.
It's the Vortex 2.
Like the Live, this supports 5.1 speakers, the Dolby surround speaker capability, front and back speakers and so forth. Has very similar input and two outputs, just like the Live. That's, by the way, nice. I use my Live with headphones as well as speakers, so that way I can listen turn off the speakers, listen on headphones when I want to make a lot of noise. This has that same capability. If you're a serious gamer, this is the way to go. Also about the same price, around $50 for the MX300. Now, if you really want to save money, to be honest with you, the Ensoniq Audio PCI, which I've seen it priced as low as $20, you can get it at CompUSA for about $29, is cheap, good. It does a great job, has wavetable synthesis, very high quality. It's very Sound Blaster compatible because it's made by Creative Labs. They acquired them. I think for the really budget-minded, the Ensoniq Audio PCI is good. I think for the serious gamer, the MX300, and for good all-around, you know I'm a gamer, Sound Blaster Live value. If you're a digital recording artist,
have to have that.
You're going to want to get the full Sound Blaster Live for the SPDIF interface and the software that comes with it.
High-end person, recorder, you want that. Gamer, you want this. Basic person, get an Ensoniq.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
you go. You're set.
All right. Now there's a lot more to talk about. In fact, Roger's done a great job of researching in fact, what was the magazine, Roger? You were reading Musician magazine?
Electronic Musician?
Yeah. And they had a lot to say about high-end recording, right?
Yeah, they specified that really high-end or more interface cards that connect with digital mixer consoles and other units.
But you're talking $500 start to start, right?
That's a mid-range card.
That's
like the-
that's cheap.
What's the
so
card
you
you
can
were
go much
talking about?
higher.
Oh, you can go. Yeah, you can buy a new car.
All right.
All right.
All right. So unless you're a serious musician, you're probably. I think the Sound Blaster Live. In fact, even didn't an electronic musician like the Sound Blaster Live? Right?
Yeah, they said for a really low-end like consumer card, it's actually a pretty good way to start.
It's a surprisingly good card. Yeah. All right. Read Roger's article. He's written a great one at thescreensavers.com. All the details we talked about, the models we talked about, and the screensavers recommendation. And I think we're pretty much settled that for $45, the Sound Blaster Live value is a great compromise.
All-around winner.
Power and sound. All right.
Tien.
Tien. All right. Next on the ZDTV3 ComNetCam network.
From Plano.
Hey, Tien.
Hey,
How are ya?
good, you?
We're very
Great.
well, thank you.
What's up?
Hey, I was wondering how I could get a message board onto my website.
That's a great question.
That is a great question. Do you need CGI binary access for a message board?
I have CGI access.
You do?
You will need that. See, a lot of the things people want to do on their web pages require the ability to save state information. Normally, a web page can only save information on the user's hard drive, right? But anytime you want to share information or have it persist between visits, for instance, a search engine, discussion board, you're going to need access to the server so that the server can save the data. A discussion board basically is web pages built on the fly based on stuff that people sent. There's a lot of CGI scripts out there for this. In fact, if you go to DevEdge, DevHead or our ZDNet software for web designers, and look for the scripts in there, you'll find a million discussion board scripts in there using Perl, or you can do it with Java, but basically you're going to need some kind of server-side access because you've got to save the data there somehow on your hard drive.
There we go.
Did you find one?
Discussion software.
Yeah.
Ain't no party. Perl scripts, miscellaneous, and editors.
So let's go to devhead.com, Tien, and take a look at some of the scripts there. There's some really good ones. They do a good job. Most of it is HTML, but you'll need some CGI server-side access, usually done with Perl, just to save, basically, if you think about it, it's a form that the user fills out. That's HTML, and then presses the submit button. What happens then is it has to post it using CGI.
Keep it in order.
Basically create a database on the hard drive, and then the web server can automatically, on the fly, generate web pages that contain the threaded messages.
So that's why you have to have extra access.
We use if you're curious about what we use at ZDNet and ZDTV, we use a program called Podium, which is a fairly expensive, excuse me, commercial package. Yeah, Ken Marcus, our producer, just said in my ear, what about FileMaker? And I bet you absolutely FileMaker would do it. Any
Really?
database program that has an HTML interface, and FileMaker is a very beautiful one.
Because it's just
would do it.
fields, really. It's just places
Yeah,
to
if you
fill in
think about
field
it.
information.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right, so we don't have any specific recommendations because I haven't implemented that myself. I have a discussion board in effect on my website, but I did it through eGroups, and that's kind of another way to do it, which is let them, if you didn't have
manage it for you.
if you didn't have server-side access, let's show them Leoville real quickly.
All right.
If you didn't have server-side access, but you wanted to do it, what I've done is use Frames to, in effect, embed eGroups, which is it's actually more like a mailing list. If you click
Wait a
List
minute.
here,
Okay.
you'll go to the eGroups mailing list, and it becomes a discussion board because there's a web interface to the mailing list. You can get it. What's nice is this is very flexible. Did you click it?
Yes, I did. It's taking a while to load. See,
Yes.
it's clocking.
Sometimes eGroups is a little busy, especially around now because this is the peak time. But what it'll do is it'll show the eGroups interface in the frame here. So it looks. There it is.
There
So
it is.
you really haven't left Leoville, and in fact, it's a discussion group, right? And so this is free. eGroups.com. One list does it as well. But I'm actually pretty happy with eGroups. And as you can see, it really looks like it's part of my website. So I have and I don't have to do any server-side access. I don't have to do any
that's very
programming, any
cool.
HTML.
It's still on your page.
But it's still on the page. All right, so there's two ways you can go. All right, Tien?
Okay.
What do you want people to send messages about, Tien?
I have a website of fan sub to anime.
Oh, cool.
Anime. Very cool.
Do you think you'd be able to show my site, or is there?
Sure.
Okay.
It's not sexy anime, is it?
It's
All right.
clean kind. All right. Shoot.
animetraders.virtualave.net.
Virtual AVE, Virtual Avenue.
virtualave.net. Anime. There's
Anime is
some
what
that I really
what is
like.
that? That's a Japanese cartoon art form, yeah?
Yeah. It's like, when you see characters with like,
Big eyes.
well, they look like this really big
Big eyes. They look like
Sailor
those
Moon,
Keen paintings. That's what they look like to me.
Sort of.
Sort of. Kind of like in a demented world of Keen. There it is.
So there you go.
I don't think there's a www on that. It's just Anime Traders.
There is not. AnimeTraders.virtualav.net.
Nice site. Well, at least is that an image map there, Tien? Or
yeah, I got it from Call for Help not too long ago.
Man, you're kidding. Yeah, we did that last week. We did image maps. Very cool.
All right.
Nice job,
Thank you, Tien.
So you know what? It'd be easiest if you're just getting started as a webmaster. Don't do the CGI, but you can get in a lot of trouble doing that. Just do e-groups. That'd be the easiest thing.
All right.
Thank you, Tien. We appreciate the call.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom. You better send in those emails if you know what's good for you,
Pinky.
Hey.
Pinky Tuscadero, ladies and gentlemen.
Record your own video email. Send it right here to tssvmail@zdtv.com. Instructions and your scripts are waiting for you right here at thescreensavers.com. Just click on participate to find out more. And now, to follow this example, what? You want to do I amuse you? Well, here to amuse you is Scott. Take it away, Scott. Go.
Scott.
Go. All right?
Hi, this is Scott from Riverside, Rhode Island. You're watching Kate and Leo on ZDTV's The Screensavers. Amaze yourself.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to The Screensavers. Take a peek up there on your screen. You see the preliminary results of today's web poll. 98% of you who botted us think that Red Hat is definitely doing the right thing. The rest of you beg to differ, but you've got 24 hours to let us know what you think. Or bot us again at thescreensavers.com.
Yeah.
Click on Talkback while you're there and fill out the same paragraph 400 times.
Is that what they do?
I don't know. Actually, no, usually not.
Julio, is that
Julio.
Julio?
I think it's a Julio.
De
Feudis. Oh, forget it. I don't know Italian.
Anyway.
Heck with me.
He's a football fan. Actually, this is a kind of a quantum quandary. He bought a Quantum Fireball 18 gig drive. Big drive.
Right, huge drive.
And he has a Dell Dimension XPSR 400. But his motherboard he can't get it to work because his motherboard doesn't support the large drive.
The motherboard doesn't?
I would think an XPS would support it. Yeah, it's a BIOS issue.
So maybe he just has to break it into a couple of 9 gig partitions and he'll be fine.
A couple of things yeah, not necessarily. Partitioning won't solve it because the BIOS doesn't see it at all. So what you should do, first of all, is see if you can get a BIOS update from Dell. Second of all, what you might want to try looking for is, OnTrack and these other utilities, and I don't know I'm sure Quantum sells them. OnTrack, Western Digital does OnTrack, and there are various other ones that you put on the hard drive to trick the BIOS, basically.
Oh, that's right.
They were used on larger hard drives in the really early days when computers mostly didn't recognize them. It's not a great solution, but what it does is at least allows you access to the hard drive so that you can then partition it into smaller partitions. I'm surprised, though. I think a Dell Dimension XPS should be able to see a larger hard drive. Look for a BIOS update. That would be my first suggestion.
I agree with you. Flash that BIOS carefully. Check out our archives on how to do that. Quick one from Michael. He says, Dear Kate and Leo, where did you get that monstrosity of a monitor?
That's
Thank
a
you
big
for
puppy.
your time.
Look at that.
Sincerely, Michael.
This is a Sony plasma screen monitor.
Gas plasma.
It is about this thick in the back there. I mean, it is really thin. I'll turn it like this.
$9,000.
Beautiful monitor. It's all yours for $14 grand. That's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Leo Laporte.
I'm Kate Patello. Thank you much, and we'll see you next time on the Screensavers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.